Hi guys, this is Three Broken Chairs. We're here with John Six. John, we were talking about how you got started with the Gathering. This little church over there. What street did you say it was on in Parkersburg?
14th, and it's kind of right off Latrobe, 1005, 14th Street.
Now, when did you get started with them? Or you said they were started before you. But how did
the
you get
Gathering's
involved?
been there for quite a while. Pastor Mel E. Smith is the pastor. I just feel like God sent me there.
Really?
Yeah. I know that I'm not a person to sit in church, in a church building. I really like street ministry, and I just feel like I was kind of redirected to go there. I followed my heart, I guess, and the reason why is it was still in what I call the hood.
Yeah.
Which I'm not judging them at all. But if I'm going to do street ministry, I'm not going to do it on Grand Central Avenue.
Understood.
You got to go to the people. Right, that makes sense.
Got to go to the people.
That makes sense. What is, like, do you just go down there and serve food, or what is your full capacity?
Well, we started out fairly small. I went to Pastor Mel and I said, hey, let's have dinner every Saturday at 4 o'clock at the 14th Street campus. And the reason I say 14th Street campus is because they have a South Side campus. And South Side is out of my territory, and 14th Street is there amongst Len Street.
And you feel like that's your area?
I feel like I can reach more people there.
Sure.
And what do you guys, I mean, who's invited? What do you guys usually eat?
Everyone's invited.
Everyone
You're
from the church?
invited.
Okay.
You don't have to be poor. Everyone's invited.
Now, is this to get people together for ideas? Is this to
no.
feed people?
It's to feed.
Is it a meeting?
It's
for
an
the church?
outreach. It's an outreach.
Okay.
And my main focus is to feed the hungry. And moms, dads, kids.
Right.
It was my first main focus. But then we have been so blessed with this ministry that I've been able to make some pretty good dishes. And I want not only those that need food, but those that just want to join our ministry and come and join fellowship and help us serve, help us in any capacity, or just come and enjoy a good meal with us. I mean, during this crisis that we're going through, what happened was we started out, I would say 3 weeks into our serving at the Gathering, where people could sit down, do fellowship, eat. We were closed down. We couldn't serve anymore. We couldn't be in contact with anybody.
Yeah, right.
But
The same as any business. You follow business guidelines with that?
But I could not let that stop me because I knew the need was still there. So we went from our Saturday meals, we moved the food pantry over to the South Side campus on Myrtle Street. And there's where we collected food, groceries, and we created a way to feed these people. And we got all kinds of volunteers on board.
Now, how do you collect groceries and stuff like that? How do you
I
guys
put
raise
the word out on
funds?
Facebook. I've had...
Is that you said Facebook? Is there a centralized page that people can follow that maybe our listeners...
Now, the Gathering has a page.
Okay, so it's all
I'm
through
on the
Gatherings
Gatherings page right here, and I was actually going to mention, I think I know Miss Melody Smith.
She's an awesome person.
She's so kind.
Awesome.
Oh, she's great. Great.
My part in this ministry was John Williams 6 Facebook page.
Sure.
I have, I know I have over 4,000 followers, and I would say at least 3,000 of them I know.
Yeah.
And
that's how we met, John.
Yes,
you know.
absolutely. And if I would say, okay, we need 30 pounds of ground chuck where we can do sloppy joes to feed these people. I get 90 pounds. It's just like my friends, I could not do any of this ministry without my friends. I couldn't.
So what's your average
So-
gathering size, John?
I beg your pardon?
What's your
What's your
average?
average gathering size? Excuse me.
That we feed?
Yeah.
Well, then that's a great, big, huge question because, like I said, stop feeding. So then we went to the south side location and we started this food delivery.
Sure.
We got several volunteers on board. Once they came on board, we reached out to get donations, groceries. I mean, Mr. B potato chips has been amazing. We've never ever not had Mr. B potato chips to take to these people.
So it's not just community members; it is actually businesses.
Well, and she is a community member too. Yeah.
Oh yes, no. It's more than Da Vinci's, Mr. B, but 90% of it is individuals like you and me and Eric. I mean, Corey. It's like people say, "Hey, I'll buy 5 pounds of ground chuck. I'll buy your buns for next week."
Right. And you just
how I
make
started the whole thing was, first of all, let's get back a little bit. I said I want to be able to do this ministry $100 a week to feed these people. Well, that's been
$100?
tough. It's been tough
$100 a week. Do you stick to that?
with gross. I haven't ever stuck to it. Sponsoring a week once a month, like I said I would. Let's say my food bill was $140 for feeding that week. Next week it was $110. I do the 10, so it all balances out. But then we couldn't feed anymore, so well, we had to do groceries. We ended up with a list sometimes of, now Melody could correct me here maybe, but
But that shifted from feeding mass peoples and hot dinners to maybe care packages.
groceries
For the home.
we did, I know, over 70 some families, and what we would do was we'd set up on a
Like a registry?
no. Our campus over on Southside's huge. The basement's huge. And we would pack all of our groceries. We would set them up. Let's say we had 68 families that day. We would do a
How do
bag
these
of
families,
groceries.
the most important thing here, John, how do these families register or get involved? Do they just
Is it by
contact the
request?
church?
It's all word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Word of
Do you
mouth.
have a scheduling day? Do you
Word of
allow-
mouth.
Or they can message the gatherings Facebook.
I was gonna say, well, now the
page,
gathering has Sunday worship on Sunday at 3, but then you guys have a
No,
specific
when
day.
when we did our grocery things, we did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
every day.
Thursday,
Yeah. You're not
Friday.
to work. There's,
Okay.
why not?
5 days a
community?
week.
Yeah.
And we dropped them off. We try to give them enough groceries for whenever.
Absolutely.
And
Just divided amongst how many families you have, and hope
Absolutely.
it lasts as long as possible
Absolutely.
until next week.
I mean, let's say we had 100 for the week. Then we would try to do 20 families here, 20 families there. They got groceries once a week. And we gave them as much as we could with our budget, with our food minutes. Probably not. But we did what we could do.
Yeah. And that's just harkening back to support of the community.
What
Just
day do
shows-
you guys serve
shows the
dinners,
community
though?
shine.
When are you starting back up with these dinners, or have you
No,
started?
I've started back up 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, on Friday again?
Last Saturday we had pulled pork.
Saturdays.
The pastor's wife, the pastor's husband, cooked up all the pulled pork. I did a huge pasta salad. We had about 60 or 70 people that day, and that kind of leads me into saying, a friend of mine, Dr. Doug Brooks, has a dog, Molly, that just recently passed away.
Oh, I was going to ask you about this. This was my next question once we got done with the gathering. This is great. Molly's Pet Pantry. Honestly, how did that get started?
My friend Dr. Doug Brooks rescued a dog several years ago. Her name was Molly, passed away. And I always knew I wanted to do a pet pantry. And, with me and my dog rescues, who would I have named it after? And I was real attached to Molly. And I thought, why not Molly's Pet Pantry? It's kind of in the same timing of me wanting to do a pet pantry. And it has went gun-ho. This is our first week. We probably have 2,000 pounds of dog food, cat food in my salon that I've got to get transferred somehow to my mother's garage. We're going to use that for a makeshift pet pantry at this time. And we're looking for another location to kind of store our pet
I'm going to
food.
interrupt you, John. From my perspective, what is a pet pantry? What is it? What do you collect?
Okay, it's no different than it's a pet food pantry. Let me put it that way. A lot of these people that we're feeding, we're assisting in their food needs because in most cases the government also assists with food stamps, a food program, WIC, whatever.
Yeah.
But no one in the government supports animal welfare.
Right.
And if I can make a difference there, I want to.
Do you try to have that side by side with your work at the gathering? Or you
Yes.
try to keep this-
Yes. Anytime we serve at the gathering, there will be a table. It will be set up with dog food, cat food, and then as I grow with the pet pantry with Dr. Brooks, let's say people fall on hard times, can't feed their horse. No, I'm not going to carry horse feed. I don't have room. But can I find horse feed? You bet your sweet ass I can.
That's right.
That's awesome.
I like that.
All right, guys. I think we'll take a break real quick, and we'll unpause here in a second. All right, guys. Sorry about that. We're back. John, you were talking about Molly's Pet Pantry, which is going to be sort of like assisted with the gathering, but sort of its own separate thing. Now, did you want to make its own Facebook page for it, or how do people donate to Molly's Pet Pantry?
Or is it lumped in with the food pantry? It's just we
Well-
accept donations. You bring pet food.
Well,
with
what
you.
happened was someone said to me, "Are you going to make Molly's Pet Pantry 501c, where we can write this up our taxes?"
Yeah.
We're going to keep it under the same umbrella of the ministry at the Gathering Church, because not only do we want to feed people, we're going to feed anything that God created.
Yeah.
Whether it be a pet, dog, horse, bird. I mean, it doesn't matter.
So what you're saying is that, if my company, Black Dog Reserve, if I, we love animals, we love dogs. If we were to write a check to that, it all goes in. What you're saying is you make sure that all the animals are fed as well. So
Yeah, I mean, let's say your company wants to donate. Mostly, I mean, your focus wants to help with animals. Then you would write your check to the Gathering Church, because we as a church are 501c. You memo your check, Pet Pantry or Molly's Pet Pantry, and therefore we know where you want your funds to go.
Awesome.
And then you turn that into the government, and it's tax deductible.
Awesome.
And now, is there some sort of receipt system with the donations of cash?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, anytime.
And it's also really hard, let's be real. It's so difficult to set up a 501c company.
Well,
it's a lot
I
of
recently was a little bit involved with that, with trying to help the cat problem up at the fairgrounds in Marietta, which, it's a headache. It's a big headache.
Is that a cat sanctuary, John, that you're referring to up in Marietta?
Yes, it's like they're all ferals.
Okay.
And I knew that I couldn't do it, but I reached out to Carrie Rowe, who's an animal activist, and she did it for this girl that's taking care of those animals.
And also, John, some of our listeners are hearing your dogs. You want to introduce your dogs?
Millie, shut up. Millie, Jack. I have Millie, Jack. Where's the cat at? The cat's
He was
being
around.
quiet.
The cat was right behind
Yeah,
you
the
just-
cat's
just a
being
minute
quiet.
ago. He's being good.
Susan's my barker. And then Annie is precious. Annie doesn't say a word.
So, John,
They're all rescue
you're
dogs.
very involved with the community. What got you started in all that? And what was your first project, let's say, that you were ever involved with in community outreach or community help?
That's funny you asked that question. At the age of 15 years old, I got involved with Down syndrome. And back then, we were allowed to call it Association for Retarded Children. And the JCs created a program, and it was for us kids, because I think I was 14, 15. But the JCs wanted us to get involved with these other teenagers that had Down syndrome. And I was nominated to be, Millie, shut up. I was the president of the Youth Association for Retarded Children. And that's where it all started.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't even want to call them underdogs. I don't want to call my dogs. It's like, I've always wanted to reach out to those that I could.
Help normalize?
No, I don't like the word normalize.
Okay.
Help. Whether they
I shouldn't say to help normalize, to help them feel normalized and to feel equal.
Comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yes. Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That works for me. I've had a very blessed family and a blessed life in myself, and I want us to all be equal.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it be a dog that was dumped in the street, or whether it be a child that has no parents and they're in foster care. And I've been very involved, not very involved, but I've been involved with Kelly that has the closet for foster children.
Mm-hmm.
There is just such a huge need out there. And if we can help in any way, why shouldn't we?
Absolutely.
I mean, a lot of people give me credit, and I don't want the credit. The only time I want credit, if anyone wants to give me credit, say, John, thanks for being a cheerleader for the needs of our community.
Absolutely.
Because I couldn't do any of this without people's donations.
Right.
I'm the cheerleader.
Do you want Molly's Pet Pantry to be more of like a donation service where you take in the donations, or do you want to find, like, because the way I understand that you kind of do your services currently is that you find a need and you fill the need.
Yes.
You don't just take in whatever you can have until you find the need.
Yeah, you mentioned like the horse feed. You don't take on horse feed.
No, I'm not going to take horse feed, but
if somebody
I
needs
think-
it, you go and get it.
I think that, yeah, good point, because we started Molly's Pet Pantry to goat feed and chicken feed
Yeah.
and horse feed, but I think it opens up the door to people that fall on hard times, and they have to face, do I take my animal to rescue? Do I surrender my animal to Humane Society? Or can I get through the next couple months, keep this dog fed until I can get back on my feet?
Yeah, and hopefully
wanna-
things improve. But
Yes.
a lot of times they don't, and that's the situation where they've already, you and I know as pet owners, you're going to stretch yourself as thin to the max until it's
just
do
like-
I eat or does the animal eat? And
It's just like if someone would say, John, we're out of hay. My horses, I have the grain, I don't have the hay. I know the right person to reach out to. My doctor is a horse lover. She'll say, I'll take care of the hay. She just did it a few months ago. I mean, she had extra hay where she had mowed her grounds, and they had more hay than they needed. I put it out there. The need was out there. It wasn't just for horses. It was for like farm animals.
yeah.
It sounds like
So I think the reason my blessing is I know a lot of people. I mean, I grew up here, and it's a blessing. I know so many people that can help.
You say you grew up here, John. Well, we've got you here on our podcast. Tell us a little bit. What schools did you go to? Tell us a little bit about your childhood here in Parkersburg, and what was your favorite place to go, maybe as a child that's not here anymore. Help us reminisce a little bit about.
Oh Lord! My first 3 years, I went to Neal School. Then they changed borders. My next 3 years, I went to Vienna School. Then I went to Jackson Junior High. PHS, graduated in. Well, I'm not going to tell that because that tells my age.
You just tell us where you graduated.
I graduated from PHS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And decided to go to cosmetology school, and I went to school in Huntington, West Virginia.
What made you go to cosmetology school, John?
Hell if I know. I think what it was I was in Columbus, Ohio, selling shoes at Lazarus Shoe Department, and a friend of mine was from Huntington. He said, "Move back to Huntington with us. Come, blah 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 blah." And before I knew it, I went to Huntington. I went to beauty school. I was still young, dumb, and I wasn't making bad mistakes, but I drank too much probably then. And the owner of the beauty school took me under his wing, made sure I got through college. Best decision of my life, and my career has been a blessing.
Now, with your cosmetology career, did you start, obviously you probably started in somebody else's salon, and how long have you had your own?
I started at Harvey's Wig Villa in Beckley, West Virginia.
Now, you mentioned Huntington. Now, how'd you end up in Beckley?
Well, when I graduated
Uh-huh.
from beauty school in Huntington, salon owners would come and
Okay.
pick the best, and I was
So
number
it's like
two.
it's
I
like
was
a
number
draft.
two in the
You're
best.
number two in the draft, then,
Yeah.
is what you're saying. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I learned a lot there.
Yeah.
I learned a lot there, but I wanted to come back home. And long story short, I came back home, worked for Your Father's Mustache. Then I managed Miss Mustache. Then from there, I went up and worked for Merchant of Venus for a few years. And then I can't remember years, but I opened up John Six Hair Company. And a lot of people,
When
this
was
is
that?
Yeah, when was that?
Well, I'm trying to think of the year.
How many years have you been in business? If that's easier.
I've been out of business. I would say I've been in business 30 years
Wow.
under my own name. And everyone says, "Hey, John." Or kids that knew me when I was growing up, my name was Johnny.
Yeah.
But I was always Joe A-H-N. John, J-O-H-N. Now you're J-O-N. Why is that? Well, I had $500 in my first salon. Had to pay my own son. Okay? When I
You
was
didn't have enough
trying to
money for the
be
age.
when I was trying to be creative, J-O-N on the top, S-I-X on the bottom
Even
was
on
more
the-
balanced.
Yeah.
So I became J-O-N.
Interesting.
Wow.
That's a
And
great story.
it started out with $500 from a loan from my mother.
How about that?
That's
Now, what was
amazing.
the first style of signage that you used? You said it was hand painted. You obviously have moved away from that since then, but was that something you enjoyed doing back then when you first opened?
Well,
Hand-painted
sure.
signs?
It was said J-O-N-S-I-X, John 6, and at the very bottom it said hair design. And it was in a building on 29th Street next door to my grandmother's shepherd, and my rent was $500 a month. And it was an existing salon. It was pukey pink, very. It was for the ladies, but I made it work until I could do my own thing.
Is that something you enjoyed doing, renovating a salon or moving into your own and finding your
Well, I had to get it out of that pink salon. And everyone jokes, but I've had about 30 locations. Just kidding. I've had at least 12. And then I moved up 14 years ago. It is me. 14 years ago, I moved up to Grand Central Avenue. Bob Parrish is my landlord. And best decision I ever made. Highest rent I've ever paid. But I have a big staff, and it all works.
It's a prime location, John.
Now you mentioned, John, as a local business owner, I find it almost hilarious. When you talk to people and they say getting started in business, you should have 3 months worth of your bills paid. And I talk to most success stories, and they barely have enough to make it in that first month. And you mentioned doing your own signage and stuff like that. It's amazing what you can find that you're able to do. And then once you make it, so to speak, all the things that you outsource. Looking back on those things, there's
Absolutely. I mean, I can still remember. It was probably into my third location, how excited I was to be able to hire a sign company, and this was before Elite Signs was in business.
Yeah.
That I was able to buy a big John Six Hair Company sign that was neon, lit up, and I just felt like I made it.
Yeah.
I made it.
Yeah.
I didn't have to paint that sign.
Now, how long did that painted sign travel with you?
We were there on 29th Street for I was probably there 3 years to get my feet into the ground and figure out. I was kind of, I really wasn't, I was really nervous about taking over this lady's salon that was going to retire, and I still hadn't made my decision up. But when Merchant of Venus found out I was thinking about it, they fired me and 4 other girls that I worked with. So we were kind of thrown into that business.
Yeah.
But it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
Pause it. And
All right, we'll take another little break here. We're going to refresh our drinks and keep everything, fresh. We'll be right back.
That's just something
We can.
Hi, Ian.
Yeah, we're going to have to edit this one because I couldn't get it in
We're gonna have to edit it.
So what are you trying to
62522.
do over there? For the
Get Jack! I'm not brag, I swear to God it's not.
All right, guys, we're back. Everybody's got a refreshed drink. Fuck. All right, guys, we're back. Everyone's got a refreshed drink.
And Eric pooped.
Yep. We're all comfortable. We're all settled in.
None of us have any idea where we left off, so I guess we'll just come back in. John, now last year, all of this work that we've been talking about, it's not just us that's recognizing it and that's curious about it. The government has even recognized you. The Governor's Service Award is something that you won last year. Tell me about going down there and receiving that.
Well,
Tell us what prior to this award.
Is there some kind of nomination
Yes.
process?
a friend of mine, very close friend of mine, Jane Irvine, retired school teacher, choir teacher, nominated me.
Sure.
And then I think her 3 references were Marianne Kettleson from Mr. B Potato Chips, Sam Winans from Winans Janitorial Services, and I can't remember the 3rd reference. But anyway,
So you have to have references to
I didn't know
nominate.
this.
I understand.
I mean, this is all behind my back.
yes.
But what
But that's
Jane
the
did,
requirements for this award.
what Jane did was she nominated me, and then she offered state of West Virginia 3 references, and I was nominated. I won the award in the senior category, which I'm way too young to be in that category, but that was the only category open,
Were you aware of the process at all?
Oh
during
no,
the
it was
nomination?
total surprise.
So they just threw you to the wolves, so to speak.
Total
You were-
surprise.
all of a sudden, they let you know you were up for nomination for an award.
No, they didn't even let me know I was up for
So
nomination.
you didn't find out about this till you won.
I won the award.
How did you feel?
Jane Irvine. Oh my gosh, I was overwhelmed. Number 1, number 2, I felt like I can't say I didn't deserve the award as much as the award belonged to the community,
Yeah.
because I couldn't do any of this without
Right.
the community.
Did that give
Absolutely.
you some kind of inspiration to start giving back more?
Oh, I think I've taken on more than I can handle now. But I have no regret. I have no regret. Yeah, it's like knowing you're appreciated
And loved.
and loved
John, you
meant
know.
the world to me. And when I went down for the award, so many of my friends went with me. You're gonna make me cry.
Aw.
It was a real honor.
Surreal, it sounds like.
When I get in my grave, it'll probably be the biggest honor I've ever received in my life.
That's amazing.
It was just a real honor. And when I talk about the award, I always have to say, this is our award, not my award.
Well, tell us more about that, John. You mentioned that there was a ceremony of some sort. Where was this held? Tell us a little bit about
It was
the
at the
dress
Cultural
attire.
Center.
Was it a ball?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It was
I want
at
to know all the details.
Yeah, it was at the Cultural Center in Charleston, West Virginia. The governor was
Now, who was the governor at the time?
same governor we had,
Okay.
Justice.
Okay.
Black tie, business casual.
Business casual.
Okay.
Well, if anyone knows me, I wear Croc shoes.
Yeah.
That's all I can wear.
Yeah.
Well, I took a pain pill and wore dress shoes. I went to Goodwill, bought me a blazer. Honest to God, bought me a $5 blazer. TJ Maxx got me a dress shirt for $7.99, I think. It was marked down. Wore khakis, which I do have khakis. But we made it through the evening. The only thing it was just, I don't know. It was an amazing time.
Now, it sounds like that's something you're familiar with, these community gatherings, obviously, with some of your work previously. Do you, is that something you partake in frequently, sort of the gatherings of the masses, if you will?
No, I don't like being on stage. I don't like being the focus. What I want the focus to be is
You would like to be the one that shines the spotlight, not to be in the spotlight.
absolutely what I want to focus on the needs, where our needs are. As a matter of fact, when I go out, when we all go out and help feed the poor, feed the pets, feed whatever, I'm so careful not to take pictures because, when this whole thing went down and I lost my job, I worried myself, am I going to have food to eat?
COVID-19, just for reference, John.
COVID-19,
when somebody's
2000,
listening to this.
2020.
Okay.
I worried. I honest to God. No,
This
I
is gonna
can't.
be a big
I can't
historical
say,
event, you
yeah,
know?
I can't say I worried because I knew that my mother would make sure I had food to eat. I knew my friends would. I knew my friends would make sure my pets had food.
You knew you were surrounded by people that were willing to help those in need, and
But
you
it was-
knew if you were going to be a person in need, those same people would step up and help you the same way
Absolutely.
they helped alongside
Absolutely.
you.
But it was still first time since I was 14 years old, I did not have a job. I did not have a deposit to make
How did
every
that
week.
make you feel? For a lot of Americans,
I was
and
scared
people
to-
in the world, this is the first for them since
Yeah.
they were a child as well.
Absolutely. I was scared to death. It was like, I'm used to making deposits every day in my bank account. All of a sudden, I have nothing.
Yeah,
And anyone that knows me knows I didn't have a savings account.
yeah.
Now, how long were you down for, John?
2 months. And did I miss one day of working? No. A lot of people,
But you missed your customers.
absolutely.
Yes.
But I didn't miss a beat. I knew that this whole thing was going on, and I thought, I've got to stay busy. I got to stay busy.
Yeah.
And I stayed busy. We redirected our ministry. We created a food drive for groceries. And my biggest fear was my mom wants me to be at her house all the time. And mother's
As most
gonna be,
mothers do.
Yeah, mother's going to be 90 Monday.
Oh wow.
And my sibling said, John, you're out on the streets with these people. You should not be going to mom's house. And my sister finally stepped up and said, John, Mom will die with loneliness before she'll die with this COVID.
Absolutely.
So y'all just be careful. And so I didn't miss a beat. I mean, I did my ministry in the morning, went to my mom's in the afternoon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very glad you kept up with the community outreach as well during a time where we very much needed somebody to keep up with.
And I think that's the hardest part about the COVID-19 and stuff is like for instance I'm the same way. I'm always over at my mom and dad's house, and my dad's diabetic, which as the news reported, they were high risk for COVID. So it was a lot of FaceTime and a lot of absent time there that was really really tough for a while for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. I just kept on feeling like I felt safety doing the work of Jesus. I mean, you just have to have comfort and do your best.
Yeah.
Well, you do so much work for everyone. Do you feel more satisfaction out of doing work at the gathering for people, or do you feel more excited about doing work for something like Molly's Pet Pantry where it benefits animals?
I know they're linked together.
I don't think there's much difference there. I mean, we're all God's creatures. I mean,
sure.
I just can't see how you could make. I mean, listen to me, Eric. You see a child sitting on a bench hungry, and you can look over across the playground and see a dog that's starving to death.
Right.
What's the difference?
There's not.
There's no
To
difference.
some people, there is, though.
Well,
To
but-
some people, there is.
But I don't have to answer to those people. I have to answer to Jesus.
I can appreciate that.
I can appreciate that as well. That's there's something to be said about a selfless personality at a time where a lot of people are truly being and needing to be selfish. A time where we can only look on the future and what we may have in front of us instead of resting on our laurels. Now especially, we definitely need to be community outreach focused. Providing stuff for ourselves and trying to embrace the community and uplift the community is only going to do us a great service in the future in what happens post-COVID. And I think the work that you're doing now is a fantastic step into starting to supply some sort of vision for the community. And
Now, John, take me in a direction on a day trip with you per se during the COVID. Explain how you guys did that process. There's a lot of state guidelines in place, and at this point in time, early on, they were talking about how long COVID stayed on cardboard boxes, 24 hours. What was your procedure, to drop these packages off to people? Was it, you had the 6 foot distance, you were supposed to be social distancing? Obviously, in volunteer work, you're in the trenches, and I understand that, and I don't condone that. I personally am on the side of building your immune system and being around things, and if you're in poor health, isolate yourself from that. But did you guys have face masks, gloves? Take me back to this time and describe a picture for me of how you guys geared up to protect yourselves. In the early beginning, we, for all we knew, this was going to wipe out a third of the population. We didn't know the extent. All we knew what was being told from us and seeing things in China. I mean, a lot of people were scared. So don't look at it today in the end of June of 2020 as what we know of COVID, but the early events of COVID-19, it was a lot scarier at that time. So what did you do to protect yourself?
I can say my typical day was I always made sure I was up at least by 7:30, because I just don't throw dog food, cat food in a bowl. I cook every morning for my animals. And it's like they get fresh pet, but I fix them chicken. It's an hour process. And I try to get it all done by 8:30. Then I get myself ready. And I try to be over at the church on South Side at the gathering by 10 o'clock, no later, but sometimes by 9, because I have new volunteers showing up
Yeah.
that have reached out to me, friends of mine. And it's like, I want to make sure I'm there when so-and-so. And another neat thing here is so many other hairdressers got involved. Caroline, I love Caroline.
Who's
And-
Caroline, and where does she work? What
Uh,
business does she own?
I'm not. Caroline's another hairdresser. I think she works at my place. But anyway, what really touched my heart was she brought her grandson. And no one knows how much I love seeing kids involved in helping us deliver food to the hungry. So anyway, let's get back a minute. I went to Monday through Friday, showed up, and usually the first thing we did was we had tables set up. We had Aldi bags that we buy from Aldi's, and we stuff them full of groceries. And let's say we have 74 deliveries that day. And then Pastor Mel has a master list. She knows we have 7 volunteers that day. And she'll say, okay, who wants these addresses? Who knows these addresses? And another good thing is I never travel by car. And I did learn how to use my GPS system. And I've been to places I never knew existed in Parkersburg. But anyway.
Well, no, let's go on that, John. I'd like you to talk to our listeners and tell them the story. Tell us about the time where you got lost going to Williamstown.
Oh, Lord. Of course you brought that up. Well, I argued with GPS, and I thought I should not be going out Rosemont Road. So I went out, I went up towards Williamstown, which I'm thinking, if I'm going to a Williamstown address, I should go towards Williamstown. And long story short, they said, okay, refiguring. They took me out Dry Run Road. I think I drove for an hour and a half on a country road. All I saw was cattle, no traffic behind me, no traffic in front of me. I thought I was going to die. I thought if I break down, I will die. But anyway, long story short, I finally get to this house, and this house, very nice house, and I'm thinking, God bless them, they're afraid to leave their house. I know they can't be without food, other than the fact they're afraid to leave their house. And it opened my eyes to another thing with the COVID thing. It's like you didn't have to be poor to accept our ministry. You just had to have the need, and we wanted to be there, and we did it. And then I got back on. I decided to listen to my GPS, and I was 7 minutes away going the other way. I was out by the airport.
Oh my goodness. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Corey.
No, go ahead, Eric.
No, you're fine.
So you mentioned before, and I want to touch on this as well, in talking to people and listening to people, my parents were also of the same mind, I was taking them things and toilet paper and different things like that, but they were just terrified, and you, like myself, were out and about, and talking to people, and, I traveled the country during COVID and asking people, who do you know that has COVID? And it seemed like those that were out in the world could quickly find out over the next couple of weeks. We were told the 14-day wait period, but we could quickly tell that it wasn't as high a percentage as what was conveyed to us through the media. Would you say that's accurate? Those that were getting out and about knew that this wasn't the, the medieval plague per se.
Well, I follow your question. I don't know. There's a lot of media hype. We all know that.
Yeah, right.
I think the hardest thing for me was, I almost had so many people, but a few people judged me for not staying home.
Yeah.
I felt very judged by not being a part of stay home.
Yeah.
And then I was double
almost
judged.
like a social shaming.
Shaming, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I was even more shamed by, okay, if you're going to go out there and spread this COVID, how could you ever take it back to your mother? Because I knew that I spent the afternoons with my mother because my mother needs me. And, And I heard it, I listened, but I just have no regrets. I don't have COVID. Mother doesn't have COVID. And I just felt like if I was doing God's work, I'd
You'd
be
be
okay.
protected, yeah.
I would be okay.
Absolutely.
And
And if not,
thank God, Mother's going to be 90 Monday. And I think,
Happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
happy
yeah,
birthday.
and I think if I would have spent 2 months away from my mother, she wouldn't be celebrating her birthday.
Absolutely.
Like my sister said, she would die from loneliness.
Absolutely.
Was that your inspiration to keep up your volunteer work then, your mother?
No, it was almost like maybe I should not do this to protect my mother. But I want to tell you something. If I needed 5 pounds of hamburger and didn't have the money, Mom would give me the money to go buy it.
Now, how'd you keep your head in the right place during all of this? What kept you inspired and moving? Was it seeing the community's response to your actions?
Not the community. I feel like seeing I made a difference.
Sure.
Just seeing I made a difference.
And going back to the
when kids came out and got their food, I think every day I look forward to it because I knew we were doing something that needed to be done.
making a difference.
It had to be done.
Right.
And
We can only commend you for doing so, John.
well, I couldn't have done it without friends like you all.
And that's part of the reason why we're doing some of this podcast. This is part of the reason why we would like to continue doing some of this, is interviewing some people who are making a difference in our community and trying to drive forward what we cannot do by ourselves. It is the community that will bring us forward and lead us to a better path.
And if there's no
Well,
community-
just like you said, by yourself. It takes a village. Everyone says, "Oh, John, you do." No, I don't do nothing. I'm a voice for what needs to be done, and then the village steps forward and does the work that God wants us to do.
Sure.
And you know, my point is that we weren't designed to be isolated, you know, and what life is it to live if you have nobody to live it with?
There was a lot of talk of the new norm post-COVID, and frankly, I do have a little concern myself. At my workplace, we are, for instance, unsure when the masks may come off. For instance, I know that's been a big touching point on media, internet, social media, if you will. Is there any sort of backlash you saw from the community in terms of trying to keep sanitary, if you will, during this entire process?
Well, you know, I think everyone
He said he
knows.
got some backlash for not being part of stay at home.
Of course.
You know, for sure.
Oh yeah,
That was
And-
phase
oh
one.
yeah. Let's get back to that because you asked me how did we do this in a safe way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what we did, our campus over on Myrtle Street on South Side, we have a very large basement, and we had tables laid out. We packed the bags. We wore masks. We wore gloves. Did we wash groceries? No. We didn't have time to wash groceries. And since then, they said that wasn't even necessary. There again, media hype. But,
Better safe than sorry, though, John.
yeah,
I mean,
but
let's be real.
But we couldn't do it.
Right.
I mean, we were delivering to. We couldn't have done our job
Yeah.
because we would have washed 5,000 packages a week. Tried to wash cans of chicken, cans of tuna, cans of packages of mashed potatoes. We couldn't have.
Did you
accomplished.
advise some of the people that accepted donations to wash them, or
Well, they followed me the same as I did.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah,
I
they
wash
just-
my groceries? No.
No.
But if they want to wash their groceries,
absolutely?
we delivered, set them on the porch. They had that opportunity to do that. Did we wear masks? Yes, we wore masks and gloves. Packing. Now, as far as delivery, I wore a mask only if I thought people, because we didn't knock on doors. People knew. We had a list. People knew we were going to be delivering between 11:30 and 1. They knew they would have groceries for a week on their porch. And we did not knock on doors, but sometimes people would come out and say, "Oh, thank you," or whatever, and try to shake hands, try to hug.
Yeah.
And
Just not used to the pandemic.
yes, I can't say I was totally innocent, because when you see a little frail lady coming for a hug,
You give it to her.
I gave it to her.
Absolutely.
I gave
Well,
it to her.
especially when you
and I'm
know-
still alive.
Yeah, exactly. You know she hasn't been around anyone. You know you've tried to take all the precautions you can take.
Exactly.
And this poor lady just wants some affection. You know, it was such a hard thing during this time to keep doing what we were doing as essential workers and keep helping each other, but maintain that understanding that we could hurt each other unwillingly and in trying to do any kind of good.
But this was a little bit different for John. I mean, we were all here essential workers. John with his volunteer work and deliveries with his donations.
There is a bit of a
well,
difference.
you know, Eric and I with the service of the community, but it was understood when we had customers coming into our stores or curbside, whatever it may have been, that they were accepting that risk. And in John's case, you know, these people were doing the stay at home. And, you know, that'd be a really tough situation to be in, John, because, you know, you're out in the public and this, you know, say, oh, no, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't give you a hug, when you can definitely see in her eyes that that's all she needs right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will say, not always, but I will say I wore a mask under my chin. And when I did do the hug, I did it as protective as I could,
Yeah.
because I knew at the end of the day I was going to go back to my mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And I knew mom
That was
would-
always in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
Mom. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the protection aspect of things, that was your mom in the back of your head.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Isn't that all of our mothers at the same time, though, cautioning us of dangers in the world? I mean, if that's not in the back of your mind.
So after all of this, we're almost done here, John. After all of this, what? How? It just boggles my mind, all the things that you have on your plate, and I guess I'm just curious. How much time do you really think you spend working?
At the salon or with
Everything.
ministry?
Do you have
Everything.
your life in
Do you
total?
take time off?
Oh, no.
Every day it's go.
No.
Every day you get up and
No.
you're somewhere by 10.
As a matter of fact, I look so forward to this evening because I haven't looked at that screen tonight, other than I did fulfill 2 requests for dog food, cat food before y'all came for dinner. And I thought, I'm not going to look at the computer tonight.
Well, John, you
Am I missing? I can't say I'm missing. I do say I'm missing because does someone need something right now?
That's what's always in your mind if you're away from that screen, is you might miss somebody that
Right.
I
that
spend
needs
more
help.
time in front of my computer, my little laptop, that I can't even see the letters on the board anymore. It's so old.
Yeah, we saw that. It's not just because it's old, John.
You won't
It's
find the
being-
T
it's
because the
being
T
used.
looks like an I.
Yes.
It's
But
well used.
I want to tell you
Well
something.
used.
That little laptop has raised thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for our community.
Exactly. And John, I don't want you to think that taking this time to enjoy yourself has put anything against that. Because I tell you what, if this goes anywhere, it really will become something that was beneficial to you. It's really not going to be a waste of your time.
What you're saying, Eric, is this might grow the audience and let more people in different demographics.
Yeah, we
know
sat here and talked
this
about
organization.
all of the time you put into this, and I'm sure if there's one person that would listen to this and appreciate that, they would donate, you know?
I don't slack in getting your donations, but I will want to say one more thing. Is I'm not much of a guy to. I'll probably offend people saying this. I don't go to church. And do I want to go to church? No, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go to a church building. Did that years ago, and I was judged. And I know how people judge some of the people that I help. I want to do street ministry. And God
pretty good
sent me, God blessed me with putting me with the Gathering Church, Pastor Mel, her husband Brad. The congregation has accepted me with open arms, and they don't expect me to be there on Sunday morning. They might be in church worshiping God, but I have Jesus in my heart every single day of my life, and I don't need a church building.
What you're saying, John, is you live a life of service instead of practice, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I admire
Yes, sir.
that.
My understanding
Yes,
would be
sir.
it's not that it would be a waste of the time. It's just you have so many more things that require your attention. You don't feel the need to spend that time physically in a building on Sunday with other people. You're doing God's work.
Kinda, sorta. I have two bosses, my mom and Jesus. And I don't need to go to church Sunday morning for any more direction.
Well, John, on the list of what I was saying earlier about how I don't think this was a waste of your time, I want you to see what I've been working on over here. I took the time and I created a little page here for Molly's Pet Pantry. I snagged the page picture of Molly from Dr. Doug Brooks' page and the Gathering page. We can direct this to whatever you need for the Gatherings donation. We can put this out. You can tag this in all your posts for Molly's Pet Pantry, and we can start promoting this. People can message this page and whatever they need to help you get more donations. And that's just my try to help you organize this a little bit.
God bless you.
Well, John, it was great to talk to you, man. Hope to have you on again sometime.
It was a pleasure, John.
Thank you,
very
John.
much.
Thank you, guys.